We are now going to start with confirmatory factor analysis. Now, for carrying out confirmatory factor analysis, is it essential to carry out exploratory factor analysis? Number of times, this is one of the apprehension in the mind of the researcher, whether exploratory factor analysis is an important criteria for carrying out the confirmatory factor analysis. Now, it is not essential. Okay? Exploratory factor analysis is not essential for carrying out confirmatory factor analysis because the factors that we take for confirmatory factor analysis are the factors that are based on concept, that means conceptual factors. These are basically supposed to be factors that are right with respect to the concept. And when you carry out exploratory factor analysis based on data, you might find that they might not be right on the concept. Some of the statements that might have converged on some of these factors may not actually be conceptually correct. That means those statements should have actually converged on other factors, whereas according to our exploratory factor analysis, they have converged on a particular factor. And therefore, you can always use the conceptual factors and need not carry out exploratory factor analysis to identify the factors. But if you are using factors that are identified through your exploratory factor analysis, and if you feel that some of the statements that have converged during exploratory factor analysis on a particular factor and should go to any other factor, that process can be adopted just before the data from exploratory factor analysis is transferred for confirmatory factor analysis. Or you can use the same factors, same data, and then apply confirmatory factor analysis and check whether the factors that have been identified through exploratory factor analysis, whether they are the right factors. That means whether the model constituted by these factors has actually the right fit and it has the construct reliability. Okay? Two things are very, very important. That it has right fit and it has construct reliability. So we will be looking at construct validity. So we will be looking at both of these. How to check for good fit, goodness of fit, and how to evaluate construct validity. Okay, so we will look at these both. Let us see. We will, for this practice session, we will use the exploratory factors that we have identified. Okay, we have identified 3 factors. We will use that as the basis for carrying out confirmatory factor analysis. So, what is the preparation required? We need to use this Excel sheet and put it on separate Excel sheet where, yes please.
So, how will we understand which case to apply? I mean, which process to apply exploratory factor?
That you have to take. Whether to go for exploratory factor analysis or not. And the decision is based on whether you already know what are the factors and which items have converged on which factors. If you already know, straight away go on to confirmatory factor analysis. Do not carry out the exploratory factor analysis. If you do not know which items should converge on which factor and what are the factors, then you need to carry out exploratory factor analysis, and next step is confirmatory factor analysis.
Confirmatory factor analysis is the logical sequence?
Yes. Logical sequence to exploratory factor analysis. That's correct. Right. So we will move from exploratory to confirmatory today. Same logical steps that you understood. We will be moving from exploratory to confirmatory. Now, what are the preparations, data preparations that are required for confirmatory factor analysis? Now, one is that you need to separate the statements based on factors now. Okay? That means whichever statements have converged on factors, they will be put together in a group. Okay, statements that have converged on factor 1 would be put in one group. Statements that have converged on factor 2 will be put in second group. Which have converged on third will be put in third group. Okay, so we will be grouping these, okay, separately. Now let's see how you do it. You can again copy this Excel sheet, and now you need to take another fresh Excel sheet, okay, on which you can copy, because we will be saving it as a different format. We will not be saving this in Excel, and unless you put it in separate Excel sheet, the whole data will be saved on another format, and we don't want the other data to clutter our analysis, and therefore we will move this file to another file. Okay, and the first row would have been those numbers. Sorry, I can put those numbers inside row. Okay, and those were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And we removed 6. Okay, from our analysis we removed 6. So that would automatically, when as soon as we convert them into factors, we will find that we will be removing it. All right. So what were the statements that have converged on factor 1? 3, 5, 8, 10, 14. 3, 5, 8, 10, and 14. So 14 is one of these statements. So I can insert a column in between this so that I can separate it out. 14. And we can insert number of columns so that it goes to the right. Insert some columns, 4 or 5 of them. Now, 3, I can cut and we will have to cut and paste so that it goes 3, controls V, and 10 and 14, isn't it? So I can insert one more column. 10. Let us put them in sequence, because later on in confirmatory factor analysis it becomes easier to move them. So this is factor 1. So I will write factor 1 total. Factor 1. And don't leave any gap between factor and 1. Okay? Because confirmatory factor analysis does not accept any gaps. We can compute the totals here. Okay, so this became factor 1. What was the factor 2? Factor 2 is 1, 2, 4 and 12. So 1, 2 can be taken together, and next is 4 and 12. This is factor 2. Simpler be better. Right. Now next I can delete these 2 columns and then I can move them together. Alright. 13. On factor 6 नहीं था ना उसमें. 6 has to be removed. And 13 has to be included. Are called manifest variables. Under confirmatory factor analysis, there is a specific name that we use for them, and that is manifest variables. Okay, variables that are used for evaluating or collecting information or those are used for actually measuring response are called manifest variables. And the factors are called latent variables. The factors that have emerged are called latent variables because they are not used for collecting responses from the respondents. They are the result of, or they are hidden, in fact, and they are extracted through factor analysis. And therefore we call them latent variables. Okay, manifest and latent variables. These would be the names that we will be using throughout the confirmatory factor analysis. Alright, now once your matrix is ready, there are a number of formats that are acceptable in AMOS. We will be using AMOS 18 for confirmatory factor analysis. There are a number of formats that are acceptable to AMOS. One of them is SAR file, .SAR file, that is the SPSS file. So SPSS, if the data is transferred to SPSS and saved as a SAR file, .SAR file, it can directly be used in the AMOS. Second is, you can use CSV, delimited file. CSV, delimited. Now this CSV, delimited is a universal file. And it can be used in majority of softwares. So we will develop the habit of converting data into CSV, delimited file. Right? So that whether you use LISREL, whether you use SmartPLS or use AMOS, in all of them, this delimited file, CSV, delimited file is suitable. Right? So therefore we will convert this Excel file into CSV, delimited file and save it at a place where we will be saving our results. Okay? So select the icon first, and with every click it will rotate 90 degrees. So first go to the first factor, rotate it by 270 degrees. Rotate it by 270. Next also rotate it by 270. And third also rotate it by 270. So you got 3 factors in proper sequence. Alright. Got it? Now you can move them. Now click on transport. You are seeing a truck? That's the transport icon. Transport icon is used for moving. And along with that, click on symmetry. Look at the icon, symmetry icon. Click on symmetry icon. Both transport and symmetry can be done together. Now you can move these as a total factor. Okay? Along with its manifest variables. Okay? Get them into proper sequence. Once we've got this, next there are 3-4 steps that you can do in any sequence. But I will be showing you a sequence, you follow that. Go to plugins. ऊपर जाके देखिए, okay? Plugins का ऑप्शन है. और plugins में आप name and observed variables पर क्लिक करिए. Name and observed variables. Click. What has happened? आपके सारे error variables को left side के जो ovals हैं, they are error variables. Right side वाले factors हैं. AMOS को पता है किसको error देना है और किसको factor देना है. Automatically आपका error वालों को error दे दिया, factor वालों को factor दे दिया. Clear है? हो गया? Next. Now we will be drawing covariances. And to draw covariance, you need to select. And you need to select factors. Now, for selection, these are the 3 symbols: selection, deselection. First one, to select each icon, each item separately. This is global selection, complete model, and this is for deselection. Right? We will be using this, selecting individual. Why? Because global would select manifest variables also, and I don't want to select manifest variables. I want to select only latent variables. So let us use this and select this, and you need to you need to press control and click, and as soon as you move your arrow, the color should change to blue. Second, control and click. Control and click should change the color to blue. Blue indicates selected. Okay? Select the three latent variables, the three factors. How many of you have selected? Anyone who has not selected? Okay. Next, go to plugins again. Please listen. Go to plugins again. Draw covariances. Just click on that, and you find the three covariances drawn.
To our very well-known R. Soundararajan. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
What is this construct? Service quality. This service quality construct, whether it has high construct validity. Okay, so to establish construct validity, there are three indicators of high construct validity. Okay. Okay, construct validity is established through convergent validity, and discriminant. Third one is nomological. We also call it factorial or factor, not factorial, factor. Factor validity. So discriminant validity, convergent validity, convergent, discriminant, and nomological, or nomological is also called factor validity. These are the three parts of construct validity. Now, we first will be working on this and then this. Nomological validity, I will just explain theoretically. This nomological validity is whatever results you have found, are they in line with the concept, existing knowledge, that is existing concepts, right? Suppose if you find three factors as we found in service quality. Now are these three factors in line with the factors that others found for service quality? Okay, if they are in line with that, that means nomological validity exists. That means how do you establish nomological validity? Through referencing. That means whatever results you get, you need to take support of the existing research and indicate, yes, these were the researches these are the researches that have been carried out, and they also found identical factors. Right? So that will establish your nomological validity. These two, convergent and discriminant validity, we will evaluate through quantitative analysis. Okay, these two. First, convergent. It has three indicators. Convergent validity. Factor loading, all factor loading should be greater than 0.5. Greater than 0.5. If all the factor loadings are greater than 0.5, then you have convergent validity. If one component of the convergent validity is in line with convergent validity, good high convergent validity. Second one is AVE, average variance extracted. Okay, average variance extracted. And third one is reliability. That is construct reliability. Construct reliability. These are the three components of your convergent validity. Okay? Not construct. Construct validity has three parts, and one of them is convergent. So convergent has these three parts. Factor loading, AV, also all AV should be greater than 0.5. All average variance extracted should be greater than 0.5, and construct reliability, all reliability should be greater than 0.7. Greater than 0.7. So if we are able to get that, then our convergent validity is confirmed. The second part, discriminant validity. There we will be using AV and interfactor correlations. Okay, squared interfactor correlations. So we will, right? All of them are above 0.5. All of them should be above 0.5. So first part, that the factor loading should be greater than 0.5 is established. That all the factor loadings are greater than 0.5. That is first part of your convergent validity. The second part is that we need to compute AVEs. And how AVEs are computed? We need to develop a Excel sheet. Alright, so we need to develop the Excel sheet, and we will take squared multiple correlations, regression, standardized. How many variables are left in the model? 4 in the first factor, 3 in the second factor, 7, and 2 in the last. No, 9. 9 were left. Estimate, yes. These are the standardized regressions. We need to take them. We need to copy them and take it to an Excel file so that we can compute the other parts. Copy. Open an Excel file. Go to New Excel. No. New Microsoft Excel. Okay, and say this is practice. Give the file name practice. Copy or paste. Okay, standardized regressions to be pasted. Now, to compute the individual item reliabilities, square of these loadings have to be computed. Okay, square of these loadings have to be computed to compute the item reliabilities. So item reliabilities, and leave one column in between because I am going to use that for some other purpose. So whatever I am doing, just follow it. Item reliabilities. Okay. So for item number 14, the reliability will be, that is, the column is D and this row is 4. So D4, so first plus sign, D4 multiplied by D4. That is square of the D4. Then I can say Control C and drag it. You find item reliabilities have been computed. Done, all of you? item reliabilities would be used for computing eigenvalues for factors. Now what was the first factor? First factor is these first 4 items are on first factor. So the next column I will mark eigenvalues. Eigenvalues. And you find sum of F4 to F7. F4, F5, F6, F7. Okay? Control C. Next 3. Now F7, 8, 9, 10. Seven would be not there. 7 was not there. Okay? Alright. And the last one, again I can see Control C and paste it. Because one more would be there, so F10 would not be there in this. Alright. So these are eigenvalues. Okay, we've computed eigenvalues because eigenvalues are going to be used to compute AVEs. Average variance explained. Average variance explained. So we will compute AVEs here. Right. Now for factor 1, so I will be writing factors here. Factor 1, factor 2 and factor 3. And I will be able to compute AVEs here. So what will be the AVE for first factor? It will be eigenvalue for first factor divided by 4. And that is G7 divided by 4. G7 divided by 4. So 0.40 something. For factor 2, it is G10 divided by 3. Okay, and the last one is, okay, I'm sorry, not here. F3 is last one divided by 2. That is F12. G12, sorry. Alright, so we've got all AVs. Generally, you would find this is the area that would have some issues, always. Okay, you will get nearly, above 0.4, if all AVs are above 0.4, you can say that it shows convergent validity. Okay, generally 0.5 and above, very few research studies would find that. Generally, you would find near between 0.4 to 0.5. Okay, second is reliability. We are now going to compute reliability. Now, reliability is, now I had said earlier that I will be using this factor loading. Immediately after factor loading, you need to sum the factor loads. Okay, summation of the FIs. Okay, FIs, if I call factor loadings, okay, we generally call lambda. So this is always called, the factor loadings are indicated by lambda. So it will be sum of lambda square. In reliability, we will be using sum of lambda square. So I will compute lambda here. Delta है, first row. Sigma is there. ये तो डेल्टा है, डेल्टा also will be needed. I will insert it here. Oh yeah, it is there. All right. Delta I would need it somewhere else. Okay, and we will need both lambda and delta. So you find sum of lambda here, sum of D4 to D7. All right. Next. And we will remove D7. All right. So 3 lambda, sum of lambdas, lambda I, sum of lambda I have computed. Now delta. Delta is 1 minus item reliability. 1 minus item reliability. And item reliability is in F. So 1 minus F4 here. 1 minus F4. All right. I can drag it down. So these are delta is 1 minus item reliabilities. 1 minus item reliabilities. Here is delta. Okay. Now, the last column that would we will be computing sum of delta i's. Sum of delta I, that means sum of H4 to H7. Right. And for the next factor, these are sum of delta i's. These are sum of delta i's. I'll show you why they are needed, because we will be computing their reliabilities. Okay, so we've computed now. There are for computing reliabilities you need two major information: sum of delta, sum of lambda i's, and sum of delta i's. Okay, sum of lambda i's and sum of delta i's. Okay, lambdas are item loading, the factor loadings. So sum of factor loadings and sum of error, that delta is error term, 1 minus item reliabilities. Now the your reliability is computed using sum of lambda squared divided by, that means first for factor 1 it will be lambda squared is, this is E7. Okay, the formula used will be, let me put that formula first. Reliability would be sum of I is equal to 1 to n lambda i's, okay, and divide by sum of lambda i's plus this is square, lambda I, sum of lambda I square. Okay, and here also sum of lambda I squared plus delta I, sum of delta I. There is no square there. Okay? So this is the total formula. Right? Now these are factor loads. Sum of factor loads for each factor squared divided by sum of factor loads again squared plus sum of the errors. Okay? That is the reliability formula. Now let's look at for the first factor. Okay? And delta is computed using 1 minus item reliability. And item reliability is computed using okay 1 minus lambda. Okay, factor loads 1 minus lambda. So these are the formula that are used.
The item reliability is squared.
Square
Square of estimates.
lambda square. 1 minus lambda square. Right. Okay. So let's see reliability for the first one. What is the lambda square here? That is this 2. That is E7. Okay. So E7 square. E7 square.
6.39.
So that means plus E7 multiplied by E7. Okay. Divide by. We will start a bracket E7 square first. Plus this is I7.
So the bracket should be closed.
So first reliability is 0.72. Okay, second is E10. E10 multiplied by E10 divide by bracket through E10 multiplied by E10 plus I10. That is 0.679. And the last one is, this is 12. Okay, that's E12. Divided by I12. Okay, these are the reliabilities. Okay, construct reliabilities. Now I'll tell you, they are slightly lower than what they should be for a good construct. Okay, they are slightly lower than what they should have been for a good construct. Reason, while deleting the items, while improving your model, we probably might have deleted some of the items that had high factor loads. We have to be very careful while deleting them. Right? While deleting the items, you should also see whether the items have high factor loads. So items with high factor loads should not be deleted as far as possible. Okay? And generally they will not be having relationship with the other factors, because an item having very high factor load will not have a load on the other factors. So they will not create any other problem. Right? So that might be the reason, but otherwise you find people are ready to, generally you would find in lot of research 0.6 minimum size. Side is 0.6. A lot of people accept 0.6 as the reliability. Our reliability minimum is 0.64 and maximum is 0.72. Okay, for one factor it is 0.72 and for other the minimum is for factor 3 and that is 0.64. And that has come because there are only, also there is one more thing, and that is that for good reliability you need to have at least 3 elements in a factor. You should have at least 3 elements in a factor to have good reliability. This is another reason we have only 2 elements in one of the factors. The last factor had only 2 elements and therefore the reliability has come below 0.7. Right? So this is how you calculate the convergent validity. Now till now we have only confirmed our convergent validity. Now next part is to confirm our discriminant validity. Now for confirming that, since we have only 3 factors, I will do it on board. Your AVEs would come on the diagonal. Okay, what is the AVE for F1? 0.40. 4019 means 402 you can put. Right, next is 417. And third one, 475. Right, these are the AVEs. They will come on the diagonal. And in the other cells, you will put square of the correlations between factors. So let us say, what are the correlations? These are correlations. 0.680, 0.743. I can save them and take them to Excel sheet again so that the square can be calculated easily. Square of correlations plus this is D21. Okay. Now between factor 1 and factor 2 it is 0.46. Factor 1 and factor 3 0.55. Second 2 to 1 same 0.462, 0.46. Now 2 to 3 0.42. This would be 1 and 3, that is 0.55, and this would be 3 and 2, that is 0.42. Now, diagonal AVE should be greater than the square of correlations. Okay, this, and this should be smaller than this. We find that there also we have some issues. So this questionnaire that we actually tested has both on reliability we had some issues and on discriminant validity also we have some issues. That is, discriminant validity is high or established when AV. Why am I saying this? Because AV is the average variance extracted, and this average variance extracted should be greater than the variance that is not extracted. And the square of correlations indicate the variance that is not extracted, right? So your factor analysis is good if your average variance extracted is higher than 0.5, and if ABEs were higher than 0.5, then all the correlation square would have been lower than ABEs. So automatically your discriminant validity would also have been established. So major problem that is there with our model is that our ABEs are smaller and they are creating problem everywhere, because our square of and why ABEs are lower, because our factor loadings are lower. Okay, that because our factor loadings are lower, right? So it might be having that there might be reason, there might be that we have some outliers. We did not test this for outliers. This data might be having outliers. If you remove the outliers, you find that factor loads would improve, and as soon as the factor loads would improve, you find ABEs would also improve and your reliability would also improve. And both your conversion validity and discriminant validity would be established. So that means just because you know how to carry out confirmatory factor analysis, it is not easy to ensure that it is worth publishing. Alright? It becomes worth publishing because you need to do refinements after that. You go back and check whether outliers are there, and then come back and see, and those outliers should be removed by going through regression and not normal individual item reliabilities, item outliers. And I will show you how to remove those outliers during the regression analysis. So next step would help you learn this method.